I've been to town, I've walked the highways and the harbors too. I've done some things I never thought I'd ever do. Now as I stand here looking down at you, you ask me why it is I frown. I guess it's 'cause I've been to town. I have been a rover, I've walked alone.
Hello, my name is Rod McKuen. I was born in Oakland, California in 1933. I started to work, support myself and my family when I was about 11. Since that time, I've been a lumberjack, a cowboy. I worked on a surveying unit. I even sold shoes in a shoe company. Later, I punched cookies in addition to punching cattle. After a while, I became an entertainer, but there was always a problem because even today, I have no agent or manager. Always they would ask me, what do you want to do? Do you want to write songs? Do you want to write poetry? Do you want to do classical music? Do you want to be a singer? Do you want to be a writer? Do you want to be a performer? Do you want to make records? Do you want to be a director, a producer? What is it you want to do? And I'd always say, yes, I want to do all of those things. Always they'd say, sorry, it's not possible. And so maybe whatever success I have today, I owe to all those people who said, no, it's not possible.
Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero. There are millions who want to be civilians. Come and take my eldest son, show him how to shoot a gun. Wipe his eyes if he starts to cry when the bullets fly. Give him a rifle, take his hoe, show him a field where he can go. Lay his body down and die without asking why. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Sticks and stones can break your bones, even names can hurt you, but the thing that hurts the most is when a man deserts you. Don't you think it's time to weed the leaders that no longer lead? From the people of the land would like to see their sons again. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. God, if men could only see the lesson taught by history, that all the singers of the psalm cannot right a single wrong. Let all men of goodwill stay in the fields they have to till, feed the mouths they have to fill, and cast away their arms. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Soldiers who want to be heroes number practically zero, but there are millions who want to be civilians. Soldiers who want to be heroes number
People, particularly Europeans, wonder why it is I always dress in sneakers and stay-pressed Levi's and a work shirt that costs $1.50 or something. And when I perform on stage, I perform in a sweater and again sneakers. It's because I've always been comfortable in this attire, and I see no reason why, if suddenly I'm able to go out and buy a $200 or $300 or $500 suits, why I should change if I remain uncomfortable in them. I have one theory that if I'm comfortable when singing, then the audience will be comfortable as well. And sometimes I sit on a stool and it would be strange to have the coat flop out. But basically, I like casualness. I like casualness in everything. I like things that have movement. I like to move. I may decide I want to run or something when I'm out walking. I couldn't do it in a business suit. I may decide I want to just sit down on the dirt and write a poem. I'd look pretty funny doing it in a business suit. One of the most fantastic experiences I had was in Vienna last year. I gave a concert at the Brahms Hall, and it was a marvelous concert because everybody came in black tie and long evening dresses, and it was very, very exciting for me because there were people like Herbert von Karajan there, and Hilde Guden, and I believe Fischer Dieskau. People like that came. And when I stepped on stage in sneakers in this hall that Beethoven himself had played in, and wearing a sweater, there was such an intake of air that I thought for a while I wouldn't be able to perform. I don't think anyone had performed like that before. But gradually, the Europeans begin to understand what I'm doing, that because things have happened to me that have maybe put me in a different income bracket or something, I don't want to change my life or change my lifestyle. In England, it's particularly true now. They understand it, and they never really have ever questioned it. Once in a while, but it was fun at Albert Hall. We had a 50-piece orchestra, all in black tie, and for me to step out in a white sweater and black sneakers, you would have thought people would have been aghast, but not one reviewer mentioned it the next day, so it's very nice. I wear a smile to remind people that you should occasionally smile, because people will very often smile back. And it's important because so many people, if you smile at them, they wonder what the hell you're doing. It's important that you yourself don't start to wonder the same thing when somebody smiles back at you, saying, what do they want, you know? But I find that it works. I have a pair of beat-up old Levi's that on the knee, they have a patch with a smile on it. And I have a sweatshirt that has a big smile on the center of it. So depending on how much I feel like smiling in one day or getting smiles back, depends on what size smile patch I wear.
Some towns have so many islands, they need a boat to get from block to block. Since the sand goes on getting deeper, I'm building my home up on a rock. And the next time somebody comes along to knock me down, I'm gonna get up and hit them in the head with love. I know some people who ain't much for action. I'd rather sit around and merely talk. Talk is cheap and the nights go on forever, so I'm building my home up on a rock. And the very next time somebody comes along to knock me down, I'm gonna get up and hit them in the head with love. I'm crazy for crossword puzzles. I got my dictionary out of hot. Since the nights are getting longer and longer, I'm building a home up on a rock. And the next time somebody comes along to knock me down, I'm gonna get up, hit them in the head with love. I got a bed full of feathers, a hole or two in each and every sock. But I don't owe nobody nothing, so I'm building a home up on a rock. And the next time somebody comes along to knock me down, I'm gonna get up and hit them in the head with love. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, hit them in the head with love. Shooby-dooby-dooby, hit them in the head with love. You know, the next time you chance upon an enemy, Walk up and lay a little love on him. It'll sure make him wonder what you're up to. Rub-a-dub-dub, hit him in the head with love. I like the wedding of the music and the lyrics. Even when I'm writing poetry, I have music in mind. So it's no coincidence that sometimes I do albums based on the books. And I've always felt that poetry, when I was a child going to school, I had very little school. I had about 4.5 years of formal education, all told. But when I was going to school, I didn't read much poetry because I couldn't understand it. It seemed to me as though you always needed a 5-foot bookshelf. I don't know how to translate that into a term that the Dutch might understand, but I think you understand me. It seems like you needed a dictionary and you needed a thesaurus and things like that to get through a single poem. I believe that poetry is immediate and it should be straightforward. And the poet's function in life is to go through his life chronicling what happens during his time. It's why I don't read historical novels, or I don't read other people's poetry, or I don't read history books. I read the newspaper every day. Sometimes I read 12, 15 newspapers a day because I'm interested in what's going on now, in what's happening now. I discover. I project. Or anyway, I do attempt to keep an open eye. Even when brick sidewalks are the pastures that I cross. A beach in Zandvoort. A road past clapboard buildings. Or wildflowers groping through the snow. The grayness of Gestad might hide or even be a field too wonderful to pass or miss. Only when we pause to wonder do we go beyond the limits of our little lives. Steep stairs in Amsterdam or alleyways in Athens can be meadows of amazement, surely as familiar as these at home can qualify as fields of wonder. Fields take cultivation. They cannot be made or even manufactured, just as only experts have the means to teach us how to hate. Farmers, whether planting love or lima beans, go carefully down their furrows. I suppose for myself and for everyone, there are as many definitions of love as many times as you think you fall in love. And yet, that's almost an oversimplification because you can love without falling in love. There are times when you become so desperate for another human being that you
you would settle for any man or woman or animal or whatever to be close to you, that you could love, that you could care for. There are times when you feel so fed up with your world, whether it's your private world or whether it's the world at large, that you think that there will never be love anymore, or love as you thought it was, or love as you felt you knew it. And I often think that that loving sometimes can be another word for hating, because they are very close. It's been said before, and it's probably cliche that love and hate are akin, but they are. You hate with the same kind of passion you love. I think that there is so little kindness in the world today. There seem to be so few people committed to kindness that every time I have to examine an action I have, if it's an honest one, or whether or not I'm causing somebody some pain, or whether I'm doing something that isn't honest, or really the way I feel, or if I have some motive, some ulterior motive, I think then I become sometimes so desperate, and I think to myself that whatever it is I've tried to be in my life is defeated. And that's, in a way, how I term success, by how well I sleep on any given night. If I've achieved some of the things I want to do in a day, I sleep well. If I've been unkind to someone, if I have not acted out of love, if I've acted out of selfish motives, I don't sleep well, and so it's not been a successful day. If I were asked to define love, and I am all the time, as everybody who writes or sings or performs or does anything in the spotlight, I suppose, is, my definition would always be different every day. But my definition for love, I suppose, really is that it's the same as for God. God and love both manifest themselves in the good things men do for each other. I have been a rover, I've walked alone, hiked 100 highways, and never found a home. Still and all I'm happy. The reason is, you see, once in a while along the way, love's been good to me. There was a girl in Portland before the winter chill. We used to go out courting along October Hill, and she could laugh away the dark clouds, cry away the snow. Seems like only yesterday, as down the road I go, I have been a rover. I've walked alone, hiked 100 highways, never found a home. Still and all I'm happy. The reason is, you see, once in a while along the way, love's been good to me. There was a girl in Houston, out where the hot wind blows. Why I had to leave her, God Almighty knows. For she could take the long hot summer and cool it with a sigh. But words have no more wisdom when it's time to say goodbye.
walked 100 highways, never found a home. Still and all I'm happy. The reason is, you see, once in a while along the way, love's been good to me.
In April of this year, my mother died, and I felt I would never get over it. Probably I never will, but it became a point of reference after a while. I thought to myself, she must have lived and died for a reason. She was dying for a long time, and I knew it. And of course, like everybody else, you know, like people always do, I refused to accept it. And when it happened, it was a shock, even though I was supposed to have been prepared for it. Death to me, I've talked about death in so many songs. I've talked about death in To Die in Summertime. I've talked about it in many of the songs I've written with Brel. And yet, I've always felt an optimism about living. But I find that life and death, like love and hate, are so intertwined. My mother is as alive for me now as if she were with me, and she's as important to me. In dying, maybe she reaffirmed for me the importance of living. If that seems strange, I mean by that she took full advantage of the time she was alive to be alive. And so I think it's important for all of us to feel the same way. I suppose I'll be dead by the time I'm 50. I look upon that as a matter of fact. I don't think about it as being morose or strange or bizarre. It's just that I work very hard. I work 16, 18 hours every day. If I'm not writing a song, I'm working on a symphony, or I'm getting ready for a concert, preparing to direct a film, or I'm doing something that takes energy and takes time, and also takes away years from your life. I suppose the sad thing, and the most difficult thing, is that I have a son who lives in France. I wasn't married, but I don't think he's any less of a human being because his mother and I didn't get married. It would have been worse because all we had in common was a night of passion. To get married and call ourselves husband and wife, it wouldn't have helped the son. But he has a very good trust fund set up for him. And I suppose the worst fear I have, and the thing that haunts me the most, is the fact that I came really sort of from nothing. I had very little on my own. And suddenly I call an accountant and find that I'm a multimillionaire or something. They say I am anyway, on paper. And so when I go away, I have an estate and I have nothing or no one to leave it to. I don't want to leave it to the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals because they are very cruel to animals sometimes. I don't want to leave it to any organized religion because I don't believe in organized religions. I believe, as I said before, that God manifests himself in the kindness and the good things that men do to each other and for each other. I don't want to leave it to strangers. I don't want to leave it to just to friends. I would rather, I think, in the long run, to have run my whole course of life trying to make life a bit easier for other people by clarifying my own life, and not because of those efforts amassing a large estate. I think, you know, figures are always so important to people. Every interviewer is impressed because I've sold 7 million books of poetry in 4 years, and because I've sold 100 million recordings of songs of mine, and there are many millions of recordings that have been sold of my own self-singing. But in the long run, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that, and it sounds corny, and it sounds very strange, and it sounds, yes, sure, I'm sure he says it to be saying it, but I don't say it to be saying it. I say it because I believe it, that the important thing is that you come into the world and you don't just take up space, that you do something, and that when you go away, the world doesn't remain unchanged, that you do something. If you only help one other man, if you only help one other man get through the night, if you only are able to help one child up a hill, if you're only able to tend the wounds of one woman whose heart is broken, then you've contributed something. Otherwise, you're taking up space. So it's a difficult thing. It's a responsibility. And at the same time, it's a difficulty. I don't know how to resolve it. But I think that in death and in life, there is a statement to be made that the dying are leaving for us always something a little bit better. And those of us who live must make it better for the next batch of people that come.
You all have seen the vagabond as he went singing in the dawn, without a worry in the world. I've never known a gypsy who could be a gypsy through and through and have a worry in the world. All merry men are minstrels then who keep their troubles locked inside, don't inflict them on the world. Isn't there something to be said for leaving your troubles in your head, never taking them to the world? The sailor cruising in the town is not afraid to be a clown, without a worry in the world. No cowboy with an ounce of pride will mount his horse and ride and have a worry in the world. All merry men are minstrels then who keep their troubles locked inside, don't inflict them on the world. Isn't there something to be said for leaving your troubles home in bed, never taking them to the world? Hey, if I must love, then let me love as though I've never loved before, without a worry in the world. And when I go, then let me go, and only gently close the door, without a worry in the world. All merry men are minstrels then who keep their troubles locked inside and don't inflict them on the world. Isn't there something to be said for having had some love instead, and never having had any in the world? Without a worry in the world, without a worry in the world. Yes, I've I've got troubles of my own. I'll try to solve them all alone. I won't inflict them on the world. Hey, ya, 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 la, 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 la. Hey! Hey, ya, la.
You know, there are some people who are addicted to liquor, and some people who are addicted to orgies, and some people who are addicted to dope. I am addicted to making records. I don't know why it is, but I suppose it seems like I live half of my life in a recording studio. I have 70 albums out now, and perhaps another 20 recorded that nobody has ever heard. I know that I have about 250 songs in my basement, fully orchestrated, that have been recorded, that nobody has ever heard except the musicians who are on the dates. But I have lately been working very hard because I've had about 28 or 30 hours of tape recorded all over the world at various concerts, and I've narrowed them down to 2 hours for one album called Grand Tour. And I think it's about the best album I've done. Of course, I say that about every album. You know, if the album is new, I feel that way until I go on to the next one. But the album was recorded in Royal Albert Hall. It was recorded in the Brahms Hall in Vienna. It was recorded at Carnegie Hall and Philharmonic Hall in New York. It was recorded in many little American towns, in Ohio, in Denver, in Santa Monica, California. And what I did was I went through and chose all of the songs as though I was choosing a 2-hour concert for myself. And I try not to duplicate if I possibly can, because I don't believe in the business of having the same song in every album. There is an exception on this album. I have an acetate of it here, and the exception is a song that I wrote with Jacques Brel. The French title is Ne me quitte pas, and my lyric is If You Go Away. This was done at Albert Hall. And I particularly like just the way I did it that night and what was happening for me then.
If you go away.
It was a very unique experience, you know. There was someone I love very much in the audience, and I closed my eyes and pretended I was singing the song for the first time. And with that in mind, I felt I'd like to keep the moment on record. It's a private moment, and yet I did it in front of 8,000 people, so it's also a public moment.
But if you stay, I'll make you a day like no day has been or will be again. We'll ride on the rain, we'll sail on your touch. I'll talk to your eyes that I love so much. And if you go, I won't cry, though the good is gone from the word goodbye. If you go away, ne me quitte pas. If you go away, if you go away. If you go away, as I know you will, you must tell the world to stop turning till you return again. If you ever do. For what good is love without loving you? Can I tell you now, as you turn to go, I'll be dying slowly till the next hello. If you go away, ne me quitte pas. If
you go away. If you go away.
But if you stay, I'll make you a knight like no night has been or will be again. We'll ride on the rain, we'll sail on your touch. I'll worship your eyes that I love so much. Then if you go, I'll understand. Leave me just enough love to fill up my hand. If you go away, Nimikitapa. If you go away, if you go away. If you go away, as I know you must, there'll be nothing left in the world to trust. Just an empty room full of empty space, like the empty look I see on your face. I'd have been the shadow of your dog if I thought it might have kept me by your side. If you go away, Nimikitapa. If you go away, please don't go away. Well, that's about it for right now. I've had fun being here, and I hope we've gotten to know each other a little bit better. At the end of my concerts, I usually say and mean, it doesn't matter who you love or how you love, but that you love. And so I say that to you. I hope I have the good fortune of meeting you face to face very soon at a concert. Good night. Thank you. Without a worry in the world, without a worry in the world. Yes, I've got troubles of my own. I'll try to solve them all alone. I won't inflict them on the world. Hey,